Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair Eldridge, Chair Day, members of the committee. Thank you for hearing my testimony today and taking my testimony out of turn. I am here to testify on Senate 1110, an act supporting consenting young adults, and its House companion bill, House 1617. Massachusetts is one of only 3 states in the nation that does not have an exception to its statutory rape laws for consensual sexual activity among teenage peers who are close in age. The reality is clear to anyone paying attention. Youth engage in sexual activity. According to DESE, more than 1/3 of Massachusetts high school students report having engaged in sexual intercourse. However, under current law, if a 16-year-old and a 15-year-old have a consensual sexual relationship, the older youth could be subject to arrest, incarceration, and possible listing on a sex offender registry for engaging in these consensual acts. These penalties, as we all know, carry very serious consequences, including severely limiting a young person's future ability to obtain higher education, housing, and employment. Our law, as it currently stands, is archaic and does not reflect the current realities for our youth. If all teenagers who violated this provision were prosecuted, the number would be quite staggering. This bill addresses this problem by updating our current statutory rape law to provide a very narrow, carefully tailored exception to criminal prosecution for youth who engage in consensual sexual conduct with others of a similar age. There are 3 distinct changes that the bill would make. First, it would create an exception to prosecutions for indecent assault and battery for youth who are 13 years old if the defendant is no more than 2 years older than the minor. Second, it would create an exception for prosecutions based on consensual intercourse with a minor for youths ages 13 and 15 if the other youth is not more than 2 years older. And third, it requires that complaints be taken in juvenile court or juvenile session if the defendant is a juvenile at the time of the offense. This bill does not, and this is important, change the laws that criminalize non-consensual sexual assault by youth, nor does it alter how consent is determined. It also does not change the criminality of sexual activity among young people who are more than 2 years apart in age, sexual acts with children under the age of 13, or sexual acts with a significantly older person. The bill will, however, bring our Commonwealth into conformance with the overwhelming national consensus by decriminalizing consensual sexual acts between youth who are very close in age, keeping our children out of needless contact with the criminal and penal systems. I ask for a favorable report, and I welcome any questions that you may have. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Great. Thank you so much, Senator Rauch. Any questions from the committee members? Okay, thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, sorry, I do have a question real quick, and I apologize.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Excuse me.
I just wanted to clarify, did you say that a 13-year-old would be able to consent under this legislation to sexual intercourse?
Yes.
Okay,
within the confines as it is crafted in the bill. So a 13-year-old could not consent, by definition, could not consent to sexual intercourse with a 16-year-old or 17-year-old or someone older than that. It is specifically crafted to create a 2-year age range.
So what you're saying is a 13-year-old has the wherewithal to understand what they're consenting to and the potential consequences of that interaction.
I'm not a court, but some 13-year-olds I've seen, just in my anecdotal experience, have had a great wealth of maturity, and some 13-year-olds don't. And determining whether someone is able to consent in any particular situation, as is the case now, would be left to a court to determine.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Senator Rauch, for coming before the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.